Well, hello, folks. Sorry about the small little pause. Lagging all over the place somehow on my crappy laptop. Well, of course, we had Dynamite the other night, and of course, I'm going to review it because I have nothing else better to do. I'm not on this kill compact schedule. It's been a really terrible summer thanks to the whole situation nearly the entire planet can deal with. Luckily, some countries or some states have been at least getting a slower part of their lives back to normal. So the most we had built up was Darby Allin that affiliated with John Moxley were facing off against each other for the world title after their tornado tag match was a success. Matt Cordina, after helping out with Cody in some assault with the Dark Order, was in a tag team match. Or Zack Ryder. I'm going to just call him Zack Ryder for a majority of the video because that's how a lot of people remember him. So, no disrespect to Mark Cordina, the wrestler, obviously. This is just because I've, watched you for a decade, so I really want to I'll get used to it as soon as AEW fans get used to you. We had a 12-man tournament involving the FTR face-off against nearly the entire Dark Order. I don't think Mr. 10, some other guy, Evil Uno and Stu Grace and Colt Cabana, I don't know if he's technically part of the Dark Order yet, even though Brody Lee keeps affiliating with him, against the entire Elite and FTR. Next, we also had Santana and Ortiz against the Best Friends, and they showed up with using, I think, Trent's mom's van, and it got wrecked by Santana and Ortiz after a roll-up finish. And the match, I'll admit it, really cool back and forth with the tag type with the 12-man tag. Big enziguris, good counters off of vertical suplex, decent V triggers, but I thought it was cool. Running Cannonball Senton plus a neck breaker, decent stunner. I think this time Stu Grace, I think it was a blade that I thought because he's blonde and stuff. And because he's bald and has a beard, broke his back one time he faced off against the Young Bucks. Yeah, that did not go well. The street fight was a complete failure in my opinion. The match was bona fide spot monkey play with just some semblance of excitement in that aspect. Of just seeing all these guys just pull up with their spots, and the match was about to be over with a double super kick combined with a buckshot lariat and a V trigger. How that combines to actually knock out a man, I don't want to know. It ends up with pulling, I think it was supposed to be Brody Lee out the way, and then he hits a discus lariat for the win. Colt Cabana was always trying to get the easy outs by Brody Lee to get him for the pin, so because he's been getting a losing streak, and so they thought they could manipulate him to allure him into the Dark Order. Allure of Darkness. That's a terrible reference, but you'll get the gist when you become a silent nerd like me, because I continue doing this bull crap because sports are slowly coming back. I'll do some reviews. I wanted to do reviews of the Brooklyn Nets playing because they lost three superstars, they think they can still contend for the playoffs. That's cute. We also had Santana and Ortiz facing off against the Best Friends in a tag team match. Why they're feuding? Because of last week. I don't care. I did not watch last week. The semblance of this indie-rific tag team getting so much screen time over teams like the Lucha Bros, Santana and Ortiz, Butcher and Blade, even though I think the Butcher and Blade are just on-screen jobbers that can't win without anybody else's assistance, just completely get rolled off that they were contenders for the tag titles and they still lost. And their best semblance are their freaking losers with Trent not having a freaking last name, Chuck being built like every gamer, and the most over guy being a guy that keeps his hands in his pockets and continue wearing civilian wear while wrestling against one of the top stars in the business out of Chris Jericho. They even had a freaking debate. And they kept the theme with this because this little thing with MJF challenging Jon Moxley for the world title. The next pay-per-view come next month. So that's the build-up into that. And they think MJF has the biggest advantage in the world if he costs Moxley the world title. If he goes after Darby Allin because he's scrawny, he looks like he hasn't eaten something since a decade ago. Or half a decade. And the match with Chuck and Trent against the Inner Circle was so meh. It just got predictable. I know that Santana and Ortiz are just going to lose off some BS reason because they've been shown way to make them feel dominant thanks to the overselling of Ortiz. Santana getting some drop kicks in there, verticals, a Northern Light suplex off the outside or something. The hug, of course, is always predictable in a best friends match. That I always feel like I'm actually feeling intimidated of grown men in their 30s hugging each other and holding hands while they try to beat the crap out of me. I feel proud of my, career choices. It ended up with later in the show that they ended up with a sledgehammer in Osaka quarters and busted Trent's mom's van, ending up for this being personal. This has a sign. It's crazy, I guess, to get some semblance of a feud going on, because over what I've seen in the majority of Dynamite, that the best friends feud with the Inner Circle, and they've been somewhat feuding with the Death Triangle. If you guys remember that existed, that there was supposed to be a scheduled street fight with, I think, Pac and the Lucha Bros against the best friends, but that didn't came to be because Pac was still in England, and he only had like one match during, I think, the entire pandemic, or not even like before the pandemic even started. So that was practically it. We had also MJF showing off his headquarters. I think he still had the chick that he asked for to smile in the middle of his speech from last week. I thought it was an alright promo. Not his better ones, because there's a majority of what other anti-smart YouTubers say about majority of the recent professional wrestling talent, or cannon fodder, in my opinion. It was a good promo for any other person that dislikes the style of how wrestlers do today. I just feel like he can do better. He's done way better promos. I'm just glad that he's going to be in a bigger role after most of his injury setbacks. And he kind of pinned the top guy in the company, so you think he should be in a bigger spot in the card if you're the only one to pin Cody over all this time. And Jericho. And we also had Matt Hardy that said he wanted to make a multiverse. He also wore the Stronger Than Death t-shirt that he hasn't worn since 2005 or 2006. He comes around saying all this stuff, and then when I just turned around so I can get my drink of water, Sammy Guevara came out of nowhere, busted him open over the ring post, and hit him with some kind of flipping... It was a crooked little 450 from the stage, and just crashed Matt Hardy while he was completely gushing blood from his forehead that was mixing with the red highlights in his hair. I don't get the semblance of this blood feud, I guess, because Sammy Guevara is a sex offender. I'm joking. He's a decent lower card talent, and he obviously doesn't generate that much of a charisma unless it revolves around Chris Jericho, or most of the Inner Circle would just be a stack of bodies, because without Chris Jericho, most of these guys have no reason to be on television. That's why Jake Hager is more shown to be a legitimate threat, other than most of his accolades he had outside of the WWE and AEW. And Lucha Underground, if you guys remember, he was there. Next up was Matt Cordina versus Cody for the nothing. We did have Scorpio Sky after the tag team match challenge up front Cody after his match to be the next contender for the TNT Championship, and I thought that was okay. Except we haven't seen Scorpio Sky on television in just a minute after he's been shown to be quite a freaking joke, and most of his chances to even challenge for the world title has been stilted. I really don't care. We haven't even seen Christopher Daniels or Kazarian. I think we only saw Kazarian a few times on Dynamite. I don't care. Obviously, Cody's going to win. To bring, all because you defend your title a couple times, it makes it prestige. No, it does not. It does not. It kind of matters who you beat. I'm not going to remember that I beat freaking his ugly stepdad, Eddie Kingston, that worked in, like, Shikara. Or I've beaten so many 25-year-olds in the ring that don't have that much ring experience as me. Like, the only challenge he had since being TNT champion was beating Jake Hager no, that wasn't Double or Nothing. That was Fyter Fest, I think. Week 1 of Fyter Fest. And then that was it. The match was fine. It wouldn't speed up until, like, the radio silence instead of the name of the Rough Rider was literally the finishing move. Decent rotations from the outside. I think there was too many clotheslines outside the ring, in my opinion. It wasn't that punch kicky for my liking, thank God. And John Silver, Alex Reynolds, that they have, even though they're jobbers, they have the best combo of moves off super kicks, enziguri slips. It feels like he was just doing some shit off Street Fighter. Guess what? They still lost because John Silver is the size of my recent nephew. So yeah, that was much of it. This was a predictable win, at least somewhat, to the sense that Matt Cordina is going to be a top babyface in the business. Thinks you want a tag team match with the top guy in the business and on the show. So I guess that sums it up. And a match for next week. So that's cool, I guess. I already had an unpopular opinion on AEW. Somebody already wrote in the comments section of a video I was watching that WWE is still better than AEW. Well, AEW is a young business. I mean, I'll give it a lot of shit because they still have a lot of time to improve. Not risque their financial blowings on, like, star indie darlings that are obviously not ready for television, or can captivate a viewership, or source any type of merchandising. Even though some of these are indie-rific gimmicks, they get merchandise and they get some viewers. So I have nothing to complain when it comes to people like Chris Jericho, that's fat, but he's quotable, and Orange Cassidy, that's stupid and indie-rific, but it's somewhat funny, and it gets people to laugh, and it's over in the aspect of that. So I understand. At least treat some of these seriously. We also had the man, I am back and better than ever. It had, I'm sorry, I'm never going to do that again as long as I live. We had Eric Bischoff return to TNT after over 20 years as a moderator for the Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho debate for the rematch next week on Dynamite after a crushing defeat back at Fyter Fest. And it got predictable. Obviously, everybody knows this is just somewhat to get some promo time for Orange Cassidy to predictably get him over for his rematch and know that this is a must-win for him. And a big match for Jericho to make sure he's not beaten by a joke like Cassidy. I already know the gist of it. I just wanted to see whatever Cassidy would say. I don't care entirely. I remember I was watching the Swerve show just after Dynamite, and it was like he didn't get the hypocrite reference because, of course, that was back in 08 to like 2010, his old gimmick of suited Jericho. So, Swerve Show, if you ever watch this, because I know you sometimes watch my videos, that's the reference that I gave. It was a bit cryptic because I don't like typing at all. I don't like typing at all, bro. So, yeah, this basic debate. Captivating, but really out of nowhere, not a character promo. Of course, to bring the semblance of, that this is going to be a dangerous Orange Cassidy. He's going to take his hands out of his pocket to fight Chris Jericho because the orange juice was in his $1,000 jacket. He's still doing that crap? And Jake Hager was there, looking like a freaking albino gorilla with a suit. And of course, Eric Bischoff, I think the funniest thing was him being astonished over the global warming question that Orange Cassidy gave, and Jericho just using every question as a threat to Orange Cassidy that he's not going to beat me and he's a joke to the wrestling business. And just stuff that we know of. I'm just not concerned because they already had his match, and I understand they're trying to do the 50-50 crap to try to get Orange Cassidy over, so it just doesn't captivate me that much because Cassidy already lost. So, yeah. He won the debate. Yay. Big Swole against Reba. Britt Baker's bus woman? Because Britt Baker over like several weeks, like over a month or so, like in the middle of the summer, been issuing that she'll be finding an opponent for Big Swole, and this takes weeks to look for any woman on the roster to get her, like Diamante, Riho, any random heel. Get freaking Nyla Rose to take out her so it can be difficult or something. Awesome Kong? Really? Reba? So you made it easier for Big Swole. Reba got some quick roll-up pins out there, but of course it ended up off a victory off Big Swole because we just knew she was going to win. I didn't care. That's it. We're just going to move up to the main event. So it was Jon Moxley against Darby Allin, and of course we had a promo involving him saying that he wants to keep Darby Allin down, going to take whatever it takes, blah, 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 he's going to kick his ass. I like Moxley, at least to the semblance that he's treated a bit more seriously. Not every part of him is a comedic moment. Every promo he's really stricken to do no mercy on a guy, no matter if it's a friend or a foe. He's going to keep the world title, so at least that's better off than whatever the hell promos he did back in 2016. We had regal stretches. We had hits off the outside, decent clotheslines. Wardlow coming to attack Moxley with, I think the title or somewhat. Had him busted open. The coffin drop got a near fall. Pilo drop. I think it was a tiger. I think it was a tiger driver for a near fall. Some kind of dumb little loop. Some kind of loop into a stunner for a near fall. Paradigm shift got the win. After it looked like a rear naked choke nearly got Darby Allin down. It was a really physical matchup with a lot of desperation on Darby Allin's side of the thing, even though he didn't even see Wardlow, but he was willing to take advantage anyway because he was down. Of course, anybody would. The match was fine. Match was basic. But it had a lot of physical standpoints. I always like main events with a guy busted open. It shows the dire need of holding the world title. And it foreshadows that MJF was trying to screw Moxley so this can be personal. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Probably Darby Allin will face off against MJF for a title shot. Probably in the near future, in like 2 weeks or something, or 3. So that's it coming from the DST show for the review. I'll give it. I'm gonna be nice for this week. I'm gonna give it a 6. Thought it was a good show. In the aspect, we kept everything consistent on the page. We had a good opener, really high speed. Nearly no match was basically unwatchable except the Big Swole and Reba match because it was literally impromptu. and it made no sense. And you think a woman like Britt Baker that's always trying to reside conflict so she can get to, the bigger card, because how much she has been overshadowed for a shot for the women's title. So you think, Big Swole should be an obstacle. It was dumb, in my opinion. I thought it was the weakest part of the show. I never liked Britt Baker in the aspect of this, and I just gotta keep tolerating her, because, oh my god, she's with Adam Cole. There gotta be something with this. There has to be. The segment was just fine enough because I got to see Eric Bischoff again. And Matt Cordina's tag match was a pretty good debut and a good showing for the guy. Some of the name changes on his moveset was a bit weird, but it's for me to remember that I have to still call the Rough Rider the Radio Silence. His moveset hasn't particularly changed. He had some good spots. I'm still shocked they did axe handles while holding the guy's arm. Like, that's so old school for no apparent reason. Even though, Cody's still doing the topes and selling his back, even though he's wearing something to protect his waist. And I hated the backstage segment involving the van. It was so corny, in my opinion. But other than that, it was an enjoyable show. If you have any other opinions on how you felt about the recent edition of Dynamite, please comment down in the comment section below. Love to hear your comments on the show. Been having a few people comment, trying to be consistent because I missed nearly an entire week of wrestling. And I always hate that about myself because I don't like missing out on stuff. So that's it coming from the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys get ready for SummerSlam. And of course, I forgot what the other one is called. Sell Out? It's not Sold Out because that's WCW. I think it's All Out. But that's it coming from me. Thanks for watching. Of course, I'll put something in the description or at least a link to my other videos. Hopefully. I won't be that forgettable. Thanks for watching, folks.